Hi, I'm Eric the Security Guy. Although I often disagree with technology decisions made by governments, this week we're going to discuss some pretty decent improvements that my government, hello fellow Canadians, is currently proposing. Bill C-11, otherwise known as Enact to enact the Consumer Privacy Protection Act and the Personal Information and Data Protection Tribunal Act, and to make consequential and related amendments to other acts, was tabled in late 2020. Bill C-11 introduces the new Consumer Privacy Protection Act, which replaces Part 1 of the current Personal Information and Electronic Documents Act. It also introduces the Personal Information and Data Protection Tribunal Act, which establishes an administrative tribunal that will assess and levy penalties under new privacy law. This tribunal will also hear appeals of decisions by the Privacy Commissioner. Bill C-11 has three pillars: consumer control, responsible innovation, and strong enforcement and oversight. They're all admirable goals. With regards to consumer control, it aims to strengthen these five areas. Meaningful consent. Modernized consent rules would ensure that individuals have the plain language information they need to make better choices. Data mobility. Individuals would have the right to direct the transfer of their personal information from one organization to another. Disposal of personal information and withdrawal of consent. The accessibility of information online makes it hard for individuals to control their online identity. This legislation would allow individuals that request organizations dispose of their information and, in most cases, let individuals withdraw consent. Algorithmic transparency, including new transparency requirements that apply to automated decision-making systems such as algorithms and artificial intelligence. Businesses will have to be transparent about how they use such systems to make predictions, recommendations, or decisions about consumers. Individuals would also have the right to request that businesses explain how a prediction, recommendation, or decision was made by an automated decision-making system and explain how the information was obtained. De-identification. The practice of removing identifiers, such as a name from personal information, is becoming increasingly common, but the rules that govern how this information is then used are not clear. This information must be protected and can only be used without an individual's consent under certain prescribed circumstances. There are changes to support business innovation, and they include simplifying consent. In the digital economy, the use of personal information is often core to the delivery of a product or service, and consumers should reasonably expect that their information will be used for this purpose. PIPEDA, the current legislation, requires organizations to obtain consent for such uses, making privacy policies less readable and more difficult to understand. There's a recognition of data for good. Greater data sharing between public and private sectors can help solve some of our most important challenges in fields such as public health, infrastructure, and environmental protection. Recognition of codes and practice and certification systems is another element. To help organizations understand their obligations and demonstrate compliance, the proposed legislation would allow organizations to ask the Office of the Privacy Commissioner to approve codes of practice and certification systems that would set out rules for how the CPPPA applies in certain activities, sectors, or business models. This upfront guidance could be very helpful to businesses. And with regard to strengthened enforcement and oversight, the Privacy Commissioner will have broader powers, including the ability to force an organization to comply with the legislation and the ability to order a company to stop collecting personal data or using personal information. The Privacy Commissioner would also be able to recommend that the Personal Information and Data Protection Tribunal impose a fine. The proposed legislation includes administrative monetary penalties of up to 3% of global annual revenue or $10 million for non-compliance. It also contains an expanded range of offenses for certain serious contraventions of the law, subject to a maximum fine of 5% of global annual revenue or $25 million. This is certainly an improvement from current legislation that many people describe as toothless. I look forward to watching the bill move forward. I'll be happy to update my viewers when it becomes law or if any critical amendments are made during the committee process. Thank you for watching. Please help me out by liking this video and subscribing to my channel. As always, if you have any questions or would like to suggest a topic for a future video, please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next video.